Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 10th of Jan 2024. Now look guys, today is the last day when the US Security and Exchange Commission will officially go ahead and announce if a Bitcoin spot ETF is approved or rejected. Now listen guys, I'm recording this podcast in the early hours of Dubai and it is still technically 9th of January in the United States of America. So it is very highly possible that is tomorrow, that is the 11th of Jan in Dubai, we'll get some information regarding a possible approval of a Bitcoin spot ETF. But listen guys, there was some massive drama going on in the world of Security and Exchange Commission, and what did actually happen is that the Twitter or X account of Security Exchange Commission was compromised, and I really am not sure what is actually tweeted, but looks like a spot Bitcoin ETF approval was actually tweeted, but that tweet has been taken out, so I really am not sure what is going on. And Gary Gensler did actually mention that the Security and Exchange Twitter was compromised, so we'll definitely go and discuss what this drama is all about. Now look guys, in the world of Bitcoin, Ordinals definitely made quite a lot of news, and guys, I remember in the last quarter of 2022 is when the hype was actually building regarding Bitcoin Ordinals, and in January of 2023, Ordinal inscription definitely picked up quite a lot of volume, and because of that guys, Bitcoin miners in particular were definitely happy, because the blocks were getting full and they were in a position to go ahead and make quite a lot of money. But look guys, there is a massive update that could potentially take place in Bitcoin, and we're talking about a fork of Bitcoin, and that is due to Ordinals. And once that thing takes place through an update called as V27, future Ordinals will be impossible to happen on Bitcoin blockchain. So in today's episode, I'll definitely go and discuss the possibility of a Bitcoin fork. Now look guys, 2023, particularly the last quarter of 2023, has been definitely beneficial for Solana blockchain, and on certain days it definitely overtook Binance BNB chain as well. Now in today's episode I have some update, and to be honest guys, this might be a very positive update, particularly for Solana fans, and this has to do with the number of developers that are actually working on Solana blockchain. And there is a report which is actually published that actually talks about that Solana currently has 2,500 developers. Definitely some positive development, so I'll go ahead and explore what that news is all about. And finally guys, we have some news all the way from Japan, and an online company called as Mercari, they are planning to enable Bitcoin payments. But look guys, this news might sound great, but they're directly not accepting payments. They're using a centralized entity which will actually go ahead and take care of the payment. So if you're a customer, you will still be using your debit cards or fiat currencies to go ahead and make a payment. So I'll definitely go ahead and touch base on that news. And guys, like we do in every Crypto and Coffee a Day podcast, I'm going to be discussing two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. And to be honest guys, because of the price in Bitcoin going up, lately I'm covering quite a lot of news regarding Metaverse. Just in the last 3 weeks, to be honest, I might have covered at least 5 to 8 news regarding Metaverse. And this news also has to do with Metaverse, and it is actually a report which is published by PwC that talks about GCC region is set to seize $15 billion potential of the Metaverse. So in today's episode, I'll definitely go and explain what this particular report is all about. Now what I've done is guys, the guys who have created the report from PwC, I've dropped them an email and I've asked them if they would like to join in one of the podcast sessions. So I'll kind of be interviewing them and get better insight on that report. So let's see if they go and reply to that email. But in today's episode, I'll definitely go and discuss very basic level information about that report. And guys, if you do want to go and check that report, the link is in the show notes below. And guys, the second news is more of an article which I have published, which actually talks about some of the negative aspects about a spot Bitcoin ETF approval. And I'm going to be discussing my thoughts and opinions on it. Now listen guys, you might disagree to it 100% or you might agree to it, but let me know what your thoughts are. So the second news is an article that I've written, and it talks about why Bitcoin spot ETF approval goes against the very ethos of Bitcoin. So I'll definitely go ahead and share my thoughts and opinions on it. Now you might agree to it or disagree to it. Mention your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. So quite a lot of cover guys in today's episode. So let's kick start with it right away. Welcome to the Crypto and Coffee a Day, the daily podcast that keeps you up to date on all latest developments in the world of cryptocurrencies, blockchain, and NFTs. Join us Monday to Friday as you kick off your day with a cup of coffee and a deep dive into the exciting and rapidly evolving world of digital assets. We'll cover the latest news and trends in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space, as well as delve into the growing world of NFTs or non-fungible tokens and Metaverse. Plus, we'll keep you updated on the latest developments from Dubai, UAE and the wider Middle East region. Whether you're a seasoned crypto enthusiast or just getting started, Crypto and Coffee at 8 has something for you. Our expert host will provide insight and analysis on the most important topics in the industry and help you stay up to date on the latest developments. We'll bring you interviews with leading figures in the crypto and blockchain space and explore the ways in which these technologies are changing the world around us, from the impact on traditional financial systems to the potential for revolutionizing industries and transforming societies. We'll cover it all on Crypto and Coffee at 8. So tune in and join us for a daily dose of Crypto and Coffee at 8, and let's stay ahead of the curve together. We'll start your day off right with the most important news and insights from the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain and the metaverse, and help you navigate this exciting and rapidly evolving landscape. In Crypto and Coffee at 8, the daily podcast covers the latest developments in the world of cryptocurrency, blockchain and the metaverse. We'll also bring you updates on the latest news from Dubai, UAE and wider Middle East region. This also includes a range of topics such as developments in the local and blockchain industry, including new projects and initiatives, regulatory updates, and policies related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region, local and regional events and conferences focused on crypto and blockchain, interviews with leading figures in Dubai, UAE and Middle East crypto and blockchain community, coverage of any significant news or events related to cryptocurrency and blockchain in the region. By covering these local and regional developments, in addition to the wider world of cryptocurrency and blockchain, Crypto and Coffee at 8 aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the industry and its impact on the Dubai, UAE and Middle East region. Now before we kickstart today's episode, I have an important message, so check this out. Thank you to our sponsors for being part of the blockchain DXB journey. Firstly, Advanced Media. Advanced Media, guys, is the largest distributor of professional video, photo, broadcast and cinematic equipment and accessories in the Middle East and MENA region. With over 2 decades of experience, Advanced Media is now the largest distributor in the Middle East, representing more than 100 recognizable brands, including brands such as Zeiss, DJI, Hasselblad, Red and Rode. As a matter of fact, guys, the very mic that I'm recording is being sponsored by Advanced Media as well, and Advanced Media has showrooms in Saudi Arabia and services as well. Looks like they're definitely taking the Middle East by storm. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they're taking corporate social responsibility very seriously, and they're focusing on 3 P's, that is people, planet and prosperity. Now listen, guys, if you do want to find out more information regarding the statement of corporate social responsibility, check out the website, that is www.amt.tv. And here's the beautiful thing, guys, they also want to be a leader and set an example and reputation as a pioneer and member of the community. And in doing so, guys, they also have an AMT scholarship with SAE Institute in Dubai, UAE, so definitely check it out. And also, guys, Advanced Media is committed to persistently developing, organizing and hosting training workshops, seminars and community events that educate, inform and familiarize consumers with new equipment and the latest technological advances. So listen, guys, do one thing. If you do want to support this channel, go to the website, that is www.amt.tv, and follow the social media channels as well. All of the details are in the show notes below. Next, Startup OI is global one-tech platform for tech. It offers global high-paying tech jobs with flexibility in working time and location, global free tech events, and tech networks to connect with global like-minded engineers. A brilliant platform to listen to the tech experts in Metaverse and to grab their insights. Now listen, all you have to do is download the app Startup OI. If you're using an Android version, go to Google Store and App Store for iOS devices. Alternatively, you can also click on the show notes below to download Startup OI. Next, guys, listen, if you're into fitness, if you're into adventure, if you want to do something wild but still want to keep your health in check, there is a new podcast in town, a podcast focusing on obstacle course race in the Middle East. The podcast is called the Race Pace Podcast. So check out the Race Pace Podcast across all leading platforms. And the Race Pace Podcast is a peer-to-peer community-driven podcast where they talk all about obstacle course race in the Middle East, from Sandstorm to Spartan Race, from Tough Mudder to Desert Warrior Challenge, and also the Government Gov Games, and quite a lot more. The podcast has interviews with athletes locally and internationally to get inside scoop on how athletes prepare for obstacle course race. In the podcast, they also talk about interesting stories on why they are motivated to do obstacle course race. And that's not all. They also plan to release 7 NFTs, And these NFTs are no ordinary. These NFTs will represent every emirate in the UAE. And listen guys, these NFTs are going to be absolutely massive. So do one thing, go to Spotify, go to iTunes, go to any leading podcasting platform and search for Rise in the Obstacle Course Race podcast. And finally guys, not your keys, not your crypto. If you have dabbled with cryptocurrencies and now are seriously getting to protect your cryptocurrencies, there is no better way to protect it by using a hardware wallet. And this is where Ledger Wallet kicks in. And Ledger Wallets are hardware cryptocurrency wallets made by Ledger, a company headquartered in Paris, France. And Ledger's hardware wallets are multi-currency wallets that are used to store private keys for cryptocurrencies offline. And Ledger offers two hardware wallets, the Ledger Nano and Ledger Nano X wallets. They are world-class experts with extensive crypto security backgrounds. They continuously look for vulnerabilities in Ledger products in a constant effort to improve the level of security. Now, in today's world, securing these digital assets is a critical challenge, and this is where Ledger kicks in. So click the link below to buy your hardware wallet and support this podcast. It is a brilliant way to support this podcast. So what are you waiting for? The link is in the show notes below. Now guys, since you've taken care of that, let's kickstart by looking at the global cryptocurrency market. Now unfortunately guys, because of the tweet drama going on, the prices of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies has fallen down miserably. The global cryptocurrency market as of now is at $1.70 trillion, and since the last 24 hours, it is actually down by 1.91%. If you look at the total crypto market volume since the last 24 hours, guys, it is at $84.44 billion, and since the last 24 hours, it is down by 3.70%. Now, what is a bit surprising, guys, is that the volume of DeFi has actually pumped up, particularly the decentralized exchanges. Now, if you look at the volume of DeFi, guys, it is at $7.11 billion, and DeFi is accounting for 8.42% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. And so far as the total value locked is concerned, for the past 3 months now, the total value locked has been constantly above the $50 billion mark, and as of today it is at $53.56 billion. Lido is still dominating with $21.84 billion, and decentralized exchange to centralized exchange dominance has picked up pace once again on Wednesday at 22.55%. Now let's look at the volume of decentralized exchanges, guys, because the volumes have definitely picked up pace, and based on the numbers, looks like a lot of selling is going on, particularly in Bitcoin, and looks like a lot of the sellers are actually using decentralized exchanges. And guess what, guys? When they use decentralized exchange, there is a very high possibility that they are converting it into stable coins. And if you look at the volume of stable coins, that is exactly what the number actually says. Now, so far as the volume of decentralized exchange is concerned, Uniswap's volume, guys, is at $2.24 billion. And to be honest, guys, this might just be the very second time I've noticed that the volume of Uniswap is about the $2 billion mark. Just few days ago, that crossed the $3 billion mark. And to be honest, this might just be the second time I've noticed that the 24-hour volume of Uniswap is about the $2 billion mark. And as of today, it is at $2.24 billion. PancakeSwap's volume, guys, is also significantly pumped up. And as of today, it is at number 2nd with $589.38 million. Thorchain, guys, is at number 3rd with $409.64 million. Orca is at number 4th with $305.52 million. And finally, Trader Joe, guys, at $231.33 million. Now, guys, let's quickly run through the volume of stablecoins. And what I'd really recommend you to do is, guys, make sure you compare these numbers with the 24-hour trading volume and then compare it with decentralized exchange that I actually mentioned. And that would actually give us an idea if stablecoins are being used in order to just temporarily transfer the cryptocurrencies, or centralized exchange has been used in order to go ahead and convert cryptocurrencies to fiat currencies. Now, since the last 24 hours, looks like a lot of decentralized exchange has been used in order to convert the cryptocurrencies to stablecoins, and that, to be honest, does seem like a promising sign, isn't it? Now, so far as the volume of stablecoins is concerned, it is at $75.07 billion. Tether USDT's volume is $61.25 billion. Circle USDC's volume, guys, is at $7.68 billion, and Tron USD at $396 million. Now listen, guys, while I'm looking at the number for Circle USDC, I very specifically remember Binance USD's volume used to hover somewhere between the $7 to $8 billion mark on a consistent basis. Unfortunately, guys, when regulations, politicians, and governments go after any particular project, company, or protocol, it just means the end of that particular project, isn't it? And Binance BUSD has decided to shut down the operations. Now, guys, let's quickly run through the market cap, 24-hour trading volume, and dominance between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, unfortunately, guys, Bitcoin's market cap has actually gone down, but if you look at Ethereum's market cap, it has significantly pumped up because Bitcoin's market cap as of now is at $904 billion, and yesterday guys, Bitcoin's market cap was at $923 billion. Now because of SEC's drama regarding Twitter account, looks like a lot of people have gone ahead and sold a lot of the Bitcoin, because if we look at the 24-hour trading volume of Bitcoin guys, yesterday it was at $43 billion, but today it has actually gone down to $39 billion. But if you were to look at the market cap of Ethereum guys, today it is at $284 billion, but yesterday, that is at 9th, it was at $281 billion. So since the last 24 hours, Bitcoin's market cap has actually gone down, but Ethereum's market cap has gone up. And if you look at the 24-hour trading volume of Ethereum guys, since the last 24 hours, it has actually gone up, but not by much, just by $1 billion, because today, the 10th of January, the 24-hour trading volume is $15.14 billion, and yesterday, guys, it was around the $14 billion mark. Now, guys, let's quickly run through the dominance of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's dominance, guys, is at 52.92%, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the next 24 hours. But listen, guys, this is what I feel. Irrespective of a Bitcoin spot ETF approval, a delayed decision or rejection, I do feel that the price of Bitcoin would actually go down, but the dominance of Bitcoin will still remain high because a lot of selling would be going on. But predictions in cryptocurrency world is absolutely crazy, isn't it? Now, so far as the dominance of Ethereum is concerned, it is actually down by 16.60%. Now, guys, let me very quickly run through the market cap of DeFi protocols. And this is different to decentralized exchange that I mentioned earlier. Now, so far as the market cap of DeFi is concerned, Uniswap is definitely leading the pack, and its market cap is $4.57 billion. Injective Protocol, guys, is at $3.35 billion. MakerDAO, often called as BoomerDAO, is at $1.71 billion. And Thorchain, guys, is at number 4th at $1.43 billion. And finally, Aave at $1.43 billion again. Now, look, guys, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's say in the next 3 years, there might be a new protocol, and with artificial intelligence coming up, I wouldn't be surprised if the top 5 are no longer in existence as well. But it's going to be really interesting to see with artificial intelligence what the future of decentralized finance is, isn't it? I'm really looking forward for a DeFi protocol that is 100% built by artificial intelligence. The supply, management and burning mechanism is completely done by artificial intelligence. It's going to be really futuristic, but at the same time, it's going to be really spooky and scary as well. Now, before we look at the king of all kings, guys, let me run through a protocol called as DENT, and the ticker symbol is DENT. And I very specifically remember, guys, that this particular project was actually launched going back to 2017. So let me go ahead and give us some basic level information on what this particular project is, and is there a future for this particular project. Now, via coin market cap, guys, it is currently ranked 328. So to be honest, I really am not sure what the future of this particular project is, but let me go ahead and explain what the project is all about. Because Dent, guys, is claiming to be a mobile operator that stands out for its innovative approach to mobile communication and data services, and they were launched in 2017, and they're utilizing blockchain technology, specifically Ethereum's ERC20 token standard, to create a decentralized global marketplace for mobile data. So some of the key points that I'd like to talk about is global mobile services, elimination of roaming fees, token economy, and some bits and pieces of information regarding its tokenomics and founders. And finally, I'll go ahead and explain what is the consensus mechanism they use, and I'll also touch base on some of the partnership that they have achieved. So far as Dent is concerned, guys, Dent aims to break down the barriers to mobile services by providing a global digital mobile operator experience, and traditionally high prices for mobile carriers limit access to services for a significant portion of the world's population, isn't it? Particularly in underdeveloped countries, it does become extremely expensive, but Dent uses blockchain to create a borderless environment, enabling users to access mobile data and airtime globally. Now, so far as roaming fees is concerned, one of Dent's significant features, guys, is the elimination of roaming fees, and they claim that they allow users to enjoy mobile services internationally without incurring additional charges. And to be honest, guys, this might seem beneficial for frequent travelers or those living in areas with limited mobile service options, isn't it? And Dent, guys, operates on its native token called as Dent, and all transactions within the Dent ecosystem, including the purchase of mobile data plans, call minutes, and eSIM cards, are conducted using Dent tokens, and this Dent token-based system ensures transparency as all transactions are recorded on the blockchain, minimizing the risk of fraud or payment issues. Now, so far as the founders is concerned, Taro Kajanian, And Mikkel and Maki are the founders of this particular project, and they have a background in technology and have served as system administrator and Java programmer. And one of the co-founders, guys, that is Miko. He's also an experienced entrepreneur with a history of successful businesses. Now, so far as the tokenomics is concerned, Dent has a maximum supply of 100 billion Dent tokens, and at the time of writing, guys, approximately 93.7 billion Dent tokens are in circulation, and the distribution includes tokens sold during the ICO era, and those held by the company for various purposes, and those released during pre-sale and sale events. Now, so far as the security is concerned, guys, Dent's network is secure through Ethereum's proof-of-stake consensus mechanism, and this method relies on large stakeholders to validate transactions, isn't it? And that offers benefits such as increased scalability and reduced energy consumption compared to, let's say, proof-of-work system. Now, so far as partnership is concerned, Dent has formed strategic partnership with entities like Samsung Blockchain, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and Telecom Infra as well, and these collaboration guys contribute to Dent's credibility and potential for further expansion. So essentially, in summary, guys, Dent is leveraging blockchain technology to redefine the mobile communication landscape, aiming to make mobile data and airtime accessible on a global scale, while addressing issues such as high prices and roaming fees. And the use of blockchain technology ensures transparency and security within the ecosystem. But to be honest, guys, me personally, I don't see a future of this particular project. Those are my honest thoughts. Now, guys, let's look at the king of all kings, that is Bitcoin. And unfortunately, guys, the price of Bitcoin has actually gone down to $45,936. And since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.45%, and since the last 7 days, it is up by 2.10%. And in today's episode, I'll definitely go ahead and touch base on why the price of Bitcoin and the global cryptocurrency market has gone down. And to be honest, guys, the reason is extremely funny as well to a certain extent. Now, so far as Ethereum is concerned, Ethereum is at $2,389. Since the last 24 hours, it is up by 2.09%. Since the last 7 days, it is up by 3.40%. And finally, guys, Binance BNB Coin, it is at $302. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 0.25%. But since the last 7 days, it is down by 3.68%. Now look, guys, since the last 24 hours, Ethereum numbers are definitely on an uptick, isn't it? And along with Ethereum, even DeFi volumes are looking good. But listen, guys, the massive news that is circulating in the Bitcoin world and even the cryptocurrency world is that of Spot Bitcoin ETF. And what happened, guys? The US Security and Exchange Commission's Twitter account did actually mention that the Twitter account or X account was compromised and an unauthorized post was posted. Now, at this point of time, I really am not sure what the post is, because looks like that post has been deleted, and the SEC did actually mention that the SEC has not approved the listing and trading of Spot Bitcoin ETF traded products. Now, does this mean that the ETF will be approved or rejected? I really am not sure at this point of time. But listen, guys, here is the stupidity of Bitcoin influencers and cryptocurrency influencers. What they're actually saying is that the US Security and Exchange Commission does want to go ahead and approve a Bitcoin Spot ETF, and they type the entire content, and rather than putting it as draft, they went ahead and published it. I think that's absolutely a stupid narrative, isn't it? Now, even Gary Gensler did actually tweet from his own account that if you're considering an investment involving crypto assets, be extremely cautious. But here's the interesting bit, guys. He did actually provide a link to the article, but when you actually go ahead and click to the article, it does actually state that this page is temporarily unavailable. Now, could it be possible that the second tweet stating that the account has been compromised is actually a fake one? I really am not sure, because to be honest, guys, in the cryptocurrency world, absolutely anything is possible. But so far as Bitcoin Spot ETF is concerned, guys, Steve Leclerc, who is a co-founder of crypto asset manager Valkyrie, does actually predict that the SEC will approve a Spot Bitcoin ETF, and what he's actually stating is that they would actually approve it when the market closes on Wednesday, that is tonight in US and in the early hours of Dubai and UAE. But unfortunately, guys, I'm definitely not seeing any of those news, and what he's actually stating is that trading of Spot Bitcoin ETF will actually begin on Thursday. Now, this opinion, guys, completely contradicts to what Eric Balkanen did actually mention in one of the episodes with Laura Shin, and what he's actually stating is that it'll take at least a week's time for trading to actually begin. So we'll just have to wait and see, guys. And to be honest, I have this feeling that the US Security and Exchange Commission most likely will delay a first Bitcoin Spot ETF, but as and when there are different applications that are coming up and their deadline is in this particular week, most likely there is a possibility of BlackRock Spot Bitcoin ETF to be approved first, but we'll just have to wait and see. Now, in the world of prediction, guys, K3 Research is actually predicting that a Spot Bitcoin ETF approval will actually trigger selling pressure. Now I kind of agree to it, because historically guys, what happens is a lot of the Bitcoin whales, they usually go out and tend to dump a lot of the Bitcoins. They've made significant profit, and it is a perfect time to get out, isn't it? Now what K3 research is particularly saying is that the spot Bitcoin ETF approval will trigger selling pressure on CME, on Chicago Mercantile Exchange Bitcoin Futures open interest, because the open interest is reaching $6.2 billion on Tuesday, as institutions are increasingly betting on a spot Bitcoin ETF approval. And what that report states is that the trend may soon reverse, as investors will quickly unwind positions if ETF gets approved. And to be honest guys, from a business point of view, that does make quite a lot of sense, isn't it? So we'll just have to wait and see, and no more guesses, and we'll get a confirmation in the next 24 hours. Now listen guys, me personally, I'm not a fan of a Bitcoin spot ETF to be approved. And later on guys, when I'm going to be discussing two news from UAE, I'll go ahead and give my reasoning on that. Now before that guys, let me talk about an important update that might actually take place on Bitcoin blockchain, and that update is called as V27 or version 27. So is it possible that we might see a Bitcoin fork? Let me go ahead and explain why that could be possible, because the upcoming Bitcoin Core V27 or version 27 update seeks to remove Ordinals from Bitcoin blockchain, and guys, advocates of this feature encourage the fork to a separate chain that accommodates their preference. And Luke Dasher did actually mention via Twitter that inscriptions are exploiting a vulnerability in Bitcoin, and they're kind of like a spam to the blockchain. Now listen guys, I kind of agree to it, but to be honest, when you talk about Bitcoin maximalists, some of them are agreeing to it, but some of them are completely disagreeing to it. The whole idea of introducing Taproot and Snort signature to Bitcoin Core was to go ahead and have smart contracting functionality. Now if you're going to go ahead and remove ordinal inscriptions, the whole idea of introducing Taproot and Snort signature gets thrown out of the window, isn't it? And guys, what Luke Dashir has actually mentioned in the tweet is that Bitcoin Core has since 2013 allows users to set a limit on the size of extra data and transactions they relay or mine, often called as data carrier size, and by obfuscating their data on program code, inscriptions bypass this limit, and this bug guys was recently fixed in Bitcoin North's version 25.1, but according to him it took longer than usual due to his workflow being severely disrupted at the end of last year, that is V24 was skipped entirely. And what he's stating guys, that Bitcoin Core is still vulnerable in the upcoming V26 release, and what he's hoping is that it'll finally get fixed before V27 next year. Now listen guys, Bitcoin Core V27 or version 27 will make future ordinals impossible on the Bitcoin blockchain, and most likely we might see a fork, and Bitcoin ordinals could proliferate on their own separate chain. Now listen guys, Bitcoin ordinal proponents should actually demand a new Bitcoin. Now what are your thoughts guys? Are you on the thought process that a Bitcoin ordinal should continue, or do you think they should have their own fork? Mention them in the comments below. Now guys, let me go ahead and touch base on some news from Solana, and the Solana Foundation has seen a notable 50% rise in developer retention on its network in the past 3 months. And the Solana ecosystem now guys is boasting over 2,500 active developers per month, and a recent data from the foundation does actually reveal that throughout 2023, the network has consistently maintained a developer base ranging from 2,500 to 3,000 active developers. Now listen guys, unfortunately this particular report is actually published by Solana Foundation themselves, so really I'm not sure if it is 100% legitimate. Ideally, it would have been better if a third party or an auditor goes ahead and publishes this report, isn't it? But definitely positive news for Solana ecosystem, I guess. Now guys, let me very briefly touch base on some news all the way from Japan. And Mercari, a Japanese e-commerce company, intends to enable users to buy products using Bitcoin by June of this year, and the facilitation of Bitcoin payments, guys, will be managed to Melcoin, which is Mercari's blockchain subsidiary, and Melcoin, guys, will act as an intermediary, converting Bitcoin into yen to transfer funds to sellers on the second-hand marketplace. Now at this point of time guys, Mercari has over 22 million monthly active users, so definitely positive news. But here's the interesting bit guys, Mercoin plans to serve as an intermediary that transfers Bitcoin to sellers in yen, and payments in Bitcoin will be subject to the same range of fees that are charged to usual Mercari transactions made in fiat currency. Now the company did actually respond to this particular question to a leading online publication called as The Block, and what they actually stated is that the e-commerce platform plans to incorporate NFTs into the app in the near future as well. And they also said, but regarding the NFTs guys, they don't have a roadmap to disclose at this point of time. Now in March of 2023, Macquarie did launch its own Bitcoin exchange where they were allowing users to purchase Bitcoin through the app using the bank account balance, sales proceeds and free pawn zone from selling activities on the platform. So it's going to be really interesting to see because really I'm not sure if people would actually want to use Bitcoin to go ahead and make purchases, considering the fact that the price is reaching to new all-time highs, isn't it? But definitely positive news so far as adoption of Bitcoin is concerned. So those were some macro level news guys from the Bitcoin spot ETF world and cryptocurrency world. Now let's look at two news from Dubai, UAE and the Middle East. And the first news guys is a report which is published by PwC that talks about the GCC region is set to seize $15 billion potential of the metaverse. So let me go ahead and read out what this report is. And guys, if you want to go ahead and read through the official report, the link is in the show notes below. And the PwC report, guys, highlights metaverse's potential impact on the Middle East, especially in the GCC region, also called as Gulf Cooperation Council countries. And based on the report, guys, what they are actually claiming is that metaverse could contribute to $15 billion to GCC economies by 2030. And metaverse, as we know, guys, combines augmented reality, virtual reality, and the internet for immersive digital experiences, isn't it? And users can engage through avatars, participating in activities like socializing, working and gaming in 3D environments. And global metaverse value is predicted to reach $800 billion by the year end 2024. And Dubai, guys, as we know, has unveiled a metaverse strategy to add $4 billion to GDP. And they envision to create 40,000 virtual jobs and attract 1,000 companies by 2030. Now guys, I have released a standalone episode on Dubai's role in metaverse, so please feel free to go ahead and check it out. And I went ahead and explained quite a lot of things in that particular episode. Now regarding this report, guys, PwC estimates an additional $1 billion contribution to GCC real estate sector by 2030, especially in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the futuristic city that is Neom. And Neom, guys, as you know, aims to use metaverse or virtual visits, influencing the city's development. And they've also offered some strong recommendation for business leaders to proactively prepare for metaverse opportunities. And Neom, guys, has unveiled tourism destination that is Sirana, Leia, and even Epicon, and an immersive destination called as Utama, and wellness-focused community called as Norlana. And Neom's existing project, guys, includes Sindala Luxury Island, which is a zero-carbon city, and also The Line, which is, if not the most futuristic place in the world. They also have Oxygon Floating Port City and Trohena Ski Resort as well. And cause rapid development of metaverse elements and applications are emphasized in that report, so definitely feel free to go ahead and check it out. Now listen guys, I do feel that metaverse is roughly around 8 to 10 years away from mainstream adoption. Now when you talk about 2030, with Apple getting into the game, I wouldn't be surprised if mainstream adoption of metaverse does happen a bit quicker. And with the advent of artificial intelligence and gaining a lot of momentum, I would really like to see mainstream adoption of metaverse in the next coming years. But listen guys, it's really important to understand that when you talk about metaverse, the experience in metaverse has to be 10 times better than what we are currently experiencing, or it'll just not cut it. Just switching current existing systems and user experience into metaverse will just not cut it. The user experience in metaverse has to be 10 times better than what we are currently experiencing. Now guys, let me go ahead and discuss the second news, and this is a report which I have published on my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com. And essentially guys, I want to talk about why spot Bitcoin ETF approval does actually go against the very ethos of open blockchain. Now let me know guys whether you agree to it or whether you disagree to it. So let me go ahead and share some of these points. Now the first point that I'd like to talk about is centralization of authority. Now listen guys, an approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF may introduce a centralized authority or intermediary, contradicting the decentralized nature of Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, isn't it? And if you read through the Bitcoin white paper guys, the very second line of the Bitcoin white paper does actually state the main benefits are lost if a central intermediary or entity is required to prevent double spending. So once a spot Bitcoin ETF is approved, the whole notion of peer-to-peer electronic cash system is definitely defeated. Now the second point that I'd like to talk about is counterparty risks. Now so far as ETF is concerned guys, ETF or exchange traded funds typically involve counterparty risks as investors rely on the fund manager to hold and manage the underlying assets. And this, to be honest guys, contradicts the trustless nature of Bitcoin transactions, isn't it? There is so much of hype regarding spot Bitcoin ETF, and that is only because of BlackRock. And what would happen guys, let's say for some wild circumstance, BlackRock does go completely belly up, and if they do file for bankruptcy, that will never ever happen, but that is the risk that we might have. And unfortunately, guys, Bitcoin was created so that we don't have these risks. And the third one, guys, I'd like to talk about is custodial risks. And ETF, guys, usually require custodial services, and adding a layer of risk by relying on third-party institutions to hold Bitcoin is extremely detrimental, and this undermines the self-custody principles central to Bitcoin ethos. And to be honest, guys, these are principles that cypherpunks do actually live on, so it's going to be really interesting to see what their thoughts are regarding a possible approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF. The fourth one, guys, is dependency on traditional markets, and ETF, guys, often tie Bitcoin's value to traditional market dynamics, potentially exposing it to influence of institutional investors and traditional instruments. Now, with the geopolitical chaos that is going on right now and elections coming up in the last quarter, I do have this feeling that BlackRock and other left-leaning administration and companies will definitely be making quite a lot of nuisance. And that brings me to the next point, guys, that is potential for market manipulation. And guys, the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF might increase the susceptibility of Bitcoin prices to market manipulation as seen in traditional financial markets. And so far as vulnerability is concerned, guys, what I'd like to talk about is regulatory vulnerability. Now look, guys, Bitcoin's original ethos includes resistance to government control and censorship, and one of the visions of Bitcoin's creation, guys, was separation of money and the state. Now when will that thing happen? I really am not sure, but an approved ETF could expose Bitcoin to increased regulatory scrutiny and potential interference. Those are my honest thoughts. And the next point, guys, I'd like to talk about is that of anonymity. And Samson Mow, one of the OGs of Bitcoin, did actually talk about this, and I very specifically mentioned about this in my podcast a few weeks ago. Now listen, guys, Bitcoin transactions are known to be pseudonymous, isn't it? And we often promote user privacy, but an ETF may necessitate the disclosure of investor information, compromising this aspect of Bitcoin. And finally, guys, regarding finalization of Bitcoin, ETFs could actually introduce financial instruments that can be used for speculative purposes, diverting from Bitcoin's original purpose as a medium of exchange. And guys, listen, ETFs are all about leverage, isn't it? Now, with the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF, we'll also be introducing leverage, and ETFs often allow for trading on margin, introducing leverage into Bitcoin market, which, to be honest, guys, could lead to increased volatility and risks. So really, I'm not sure how the market is going to react. To be honest, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if the price of Bitcoin does actually dump, whether Bitcoin ETF gets approved, whether it gets rejected, or whether it gets delayed as well. And guys, listen, the next part I'd like to talk about or discuss is that the vision of Satoshi Nakamoto, and I'm not talking about Bitcoin Satoshi vision. Now listen, guys, the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF may signify a departure from Satoshi Nakamoto's original vision of creating a decentralized and trustless financial system. And to be honest, guys, knowing the initial stages of Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin, I'm pretty much sure if he existed, or if he's still existing, or if he's checking these things, he would definitely not be happy about it. And guys, the next thing I'd like to talk about is increased systemic risk, and integration into traditional financial systems through ETFs, guys, may expose Bitcoin to systemic risk present in those systems, potentially impacting its stability. Now look, guys, I hate saying this when you talk about Bitcoin. The whole notion of creating Bitcoin was separation of money and the state, but looks like the role of the state has been replaced by multi-billionaires, financial giants like BlackRock and Valkyrie. The next point, guys, I'd like to talk about is Bitcoin mining. Now look, guys, an ETF approval might actually incentivize the centralization of mining operations, as institutional investors, according to me, may focus on areas with low energy cost, potentially undermining Bitcoin's distributed mining network. And listen, guys, I see so many businesses, particularly in Dubai, boasting that they have X number of Bitcoin hashing power, and one of the companies that is called a Cypher Capital, they were actually boasting and stating that they want to have 25% of Bitcoin's mining hash rate. But listen, guys, boasting about these things is not ideal, because when you talk about Bitcoin, it is all about having things distributed, isn't it, rather than having accumulation of Bitcoin mining power in one particular end. That, to be honest, is definitely not ideal. So with a spot Bitcoin ETF approval, most likely that is possible as well, and there is also potential for fractional reserve practices. Now look, guys, in the traditional banking system, fractional reserve practices have led to financial stability, and ETFs might introduce similar risks if they are not managed appropriately. Those are my honest thoughts, to be honest. Now let me also go ahead and share some points regarding risks of mismanagement. And ETFs, guys, as we know, are susceptible to mismanagement, fraud, or malpractices by fund managers, posing risk to investors and contradicting the transparent and secure nature of Bitcoin. Now look, guys, in the world of cryptocurrencies, there is a lot of fraud, there's a lot of mismanagement going on. I'm hoping we do not find out any of these things, particularly this year, because there will be massive chaos going on because of US elections. And guys, another point I'd like to talk about is decentralized governance, and ETFs, guys, may actually introduce governance structures that actually differ from the decentralized or distributed, how I like to call it, and consensus-based governance inherent in Bitcoin protocol, isn't it? The BlackRock, guys, is a notorious giant, and could it be possible that they slowly take control over Bitcoin mining operations as well? Knowing the notorious history of BlackRock and the whole involvement with the ESG, I wouldn't be surprised if they slowly and steadily try to make moves in Bitcoin mining as well. And listen, guys, Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy is heavily backed by BlackRock as well, and Michael Saylor is part of crypto mining as well. So I wouldn't be surprised, let's say not now, maybe in the next coming months, we will find out that Bitcoin mining operations are making moves to switch from Bitcoin proof of work to proof of stake. I really am hoping that thing does not happen. Now let me talk about something regarding market as well, guys, because there will be market correlation with traditional assets, and approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF may actually lead to increased correlation between Bitcoin and traditional assets, reducing its effectiveness as a diversification tool. And that, to be honest, guys, does not seem right, isn't it? And look, guys, a look at cryptocurrency influencers, they take this in both the ways. If the price of Bitcoin is actually reacting positively or in similar direction, let's say to the stock market, they would actually state that Bitcoin is moving exactly how the stock market is moving, and because of that, they want to go ahead and create the demand for it. But let's say if Bitcoin does actually move in the opposite direction, they would actually post it in another way, stating that Bitcoin doesn't care about the stock market and Bitcoin is still heading towards the moon. Those are some unfortunate facts regarding crypto influencers. Now listen, guys, I really want to stress the next point, and it's so important to understand that Bitcoin was designed to eliminate the need for financial intermediaries, but the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF may encourage the reintegration of such intermediaries into the Bitcoin ecosystem, and that will be absolutely catastrophic. And finally, guys, regarding a spot Bitcoin ETF approval, I definitely do see lots of cypherpunk ideals, and Bitcoin did actually emerge from cypherpunk ideals that aim to create a financial system that is actually resistant to censorship. But the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF may compromise these ideals by subjecting Bitcoin to the rules and regulations of centralized authorities. Those are my honest thoughts, guys, to be honest. And guys, listen, if you don't want to go ahead and read through the article, go to www.blockchaindxb.com, and on the very second tab that says blockchain, scroll down and you're more than welcome to go ahead and download the article. And the article is actually titled Why Bitcoin ETF Sucks. And let me know, guys, what your thoughts are, whether you agree to it or disagree to it. So those were some macro level news, guys, from Crypto and Coffee at 8. In case you guys have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. Check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website area2071.com. And guys, listen, if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. Now for the next few minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series where your listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. So let's kickstart with the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's Josh from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. I have a question by Rahul who asks, what would you say is an ideal form of payment, Bitcoin or stable coins? Now listen, Rahul, I hate to say it, at this point of time, it is not ideal to make payments using Bitcoin, isn't it? Because let's say if you were to make transaction worth, let's say $10 or $20, tomorrow you never know, the value of the transactions could significantly go higher. We already know what happened to the 2 pizzas which were bought at 10,000 Bitcoin, isn't it? And I'm pretty much sure no one would want to be in that position. Now, so far stablecoins is concerned, I definitely do feel that stablecoins are definitely an ideal form of payment, let's say in comparison to Bitcoin alone. But if you were to compare it, let's say with central bank digital currency, I definitely will have to give preference to central bank digital currency. Now that does not mean that I'm a massive advocate of central bank digital currency. I definitely do not like central bank digital currency. But look, Rahul, and even to our listeners, when you talk about stable coins, they do not follow the ethos of open blockchain as well. And one thing which I did mention when I was talking about the ethos of creating Bitcoin, the whole idea was separation of money and the state. But with stable coins in particular, looks like the role of the banks in the States is being replaced by stablecoin issuers, isn't it? And a lot of the regulators, particularly in the US and particularly in other parts of the world, they're not massive fans, and they definitely want to put as much regulations for stablecoin issuers. And I still don't understand why you would want to use stablecoins, to be honest. Now, granted, from a trader's point of view, it does make a lot of sense. And if you do actually want to transfer funds rather than sending bitcoins, which is worth, let's say, $10, what you may want to do is convert it into stablecoins and just send $10. That does make a lot of sense. But you talk it from an ethical point of view. Look, stablecoins do not follow the ethos of open blockchain, that is open source, permissionless, neutral, borderless, censorship resistant, and publicly verifiable. Now, these points are pillars of open blockchain, which is popularized by Andreas Antonopoulos. Now, what I'd really recommend you to do is, Raul, and even to our listeners, go to YouTube and type in Andreas Antonopoulos, and he has a YouTube video which I believe is at least 6 to 7 years old, where he talks about the pillars of open blockchain. Definitely go ahead and revisit that. Now, mind you, in that video, Raul, he does not talk about publicly verifiable. Later on, he went ahead and talked about it. But listen, to answer your question between Bitcoin and stablecoins, I definitely do feel stablecoins will be an ideal form of payment, and that is because the value of the coin is stable, isn't it? But stablecoin issuers can definitely go ahead and censor your transaction. They can go ahead and freeze your account. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they have some heavy KYC involved as well. So to answer your question, stablecoins over Bitcoin, but they definitely do not follow the ethos of open blockchain. But definitely a really interesting question. And that's about all, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series on Blockchain DXB. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. Check out my website www.blockchaindxb.com, and also check out my other website area2071.com that talks everything about metaverse. And guys, if you like listening to this podcast, please click on the follow button, give it a 5-star rating, and share the word across. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. And how the series of episodes under Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions regarding Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and metaverse. So thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a nice one. Bye-bye.